What's up, Patrick A. PunkTorah. We've got so much Divrei Torah going on this week, it's absolutely insane. Because we have Rosh Hashanah day 1, which has its own reading. We've got day 2, which has a reading. And then we have the reading for this week. So there's just so much going on at once. Instead of doing 3 different videos, I decided to do one video, and it's basically going to capture everything. I'm going to do it as fast as possible. Torah portion number 1. Hagar and Ishmael are banished by Sarah. Basically, Sarah gets jealous because, Hagar and Ishmael, there's this whole sort of Springer, 3-way thing going on with that, and there's this new son that's been born, and there's just a whole thing going on with that. So that's that issue. Day 2 has to do with Isaac being sacrificed. So Abraham goes up the mountain and binds him down. The angel stops him, thank God. That's the second day. The third day, which is Shabbat, talking about a beautiful song that God teaches about, basic God stuff, do good for me and I'll do good for you, do bad for me and I'll do bad for you, that kind of deal. And then Moses has to go to the top of Mount Nebo, and he has to look and see the promised land, which he can't enter because he took a staff and he hit some rocks, some water came out, but God didn't want that, so God is, angry and punishes Moses, which is awful. What's the common thread of all of this? The common thread is that life is unfair. It's unfair that Hagar and Ishmael were banished. It's unfair that Isaac was bound to an altar, and it's unfair that Moses had to ascend a mountain and look at something that he could never have. How does this work? How can we have a loving God in an unfair world? It's pretty simple. God does not have the ability to do everything. We like to think of that. We think, well, if someone created the universe, they could do just about anything. Wrong. God can't do that. We live in an amoral universe. The universe exists outside of our ability to moralize things. That's why human beings have to be moral creatures. We're sanctifying the world by our presence. A couple of examples. We say a blessing before we eat. We have tikkun olam. We have the mitzvot related to justice and creating just societies and just courts, treating animals fairly, treating the poor fairly, all of that. We have to do these things because otherwise the entire world would be amoral. We are the only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Same kind of idea. We are God's only hope to make the universe moral by our actions, by our thoughts, by the way that we live our lives. So, the moral of the story, sometimes the world isn't very moral, but you exist in it, and you have a personal responsibility to the creator of the universe who can't do as well as you can do to make the world a better place. So, happy Rosh Hashanah, Lashana Tova. If you're watching this later, Shabbat Shalom, the whole 9 yards, yada yada yada. Happy Jew Year. PunkTorah.